Hey, Grace Quotes. Appreciate you tuning in today. Thanks again for watching. Today's video quote comes from Ephesians chapter 3, verse 17, when the Apostle Paul says, "So that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith." Jesus Christ wants to dwell in our hearts. Now, when we read that, it kind of flies in the face with most conventional evangelical teaching, because the teaching that we accept, which I believe is biblical teaching, is that the moment we come to Jesus and receive Christ, that He, through the power of the Holy Spirit, takes up full residence in our hearts. So why would Paul, as he is writing to Christians, pray that Christ would dwell in their hearts? And I think the simple way to answer that is, although Christ is always in our hearts, He's not always in the center of our lives. We're not allowing Him to fully exercise His rule and His authority in our life. Or we could say that Jesus is always there. He will never leave us nor forsake us, but there are times that we don't recognize Him. Or maybe our house, our heart is always a house to Christ, but it's not always a home to Jesus. He's almost kind of tolerated as an unwelcomed intruder. One of the books that was given to me when I first came to Christ is a book by Robert Munger, and the book's entitled My Heart, Christ's Home. It's a short book. You could probably read it in about an hour or so. And the book is basically like an allegory, similar to Pilgrim's Progress, and it's a description of Jesus going through all the rooms in our heart and cleaning things out. And as Munger puts it, he first goes to the library, and the library would represent our mind, of course, and he throws out all the trash and the worthless things, and he replaces that with the knowledge and desire for His Word. And then Jesus goes to the dining room of our hearts, and that, of course, would be our appetites, and he finds all kinds of sinful desires on the worldly menu, and in the place of all the materialism and lust and the greed, he replaces that with good desires like humility and meekness and love and other virtues that we should hunger and thirst for. And then he goes to the living room in our hearts, and that would be fellowship, where he finds many worldly companions and activities that we tend to really enjoy. And then he goes to the workshop, and he finds that we're making toys that have no eternal value. And then last but not least, he goes to the closet. And that's, of course, where we keep all of our little hidden sins. And the bottom line and the moral of the story is, until we surrender our entire lives to Christ and allow Him to have freedom in our hearts, to probe our hearts and to remove sin, He will never be fully at home in our lives. That's what I believe is Paul's prayer for the church, and a prayer we should have for each other. That Christ would be at home in our hearts. That we would be surrendered to Jesus, giving Him full reign of our lives, desiring not our will, but His will to be done at all times. God bless you. Thanks again for watching.